Hi, Verona. Now, are you having an exciting morning? I think you probably are. And I am so happy that I get to be a part of it. Because I guess Nim is part of it. I guess Nim is kind of the reason for it. But here I am in my office, in my house in Australia, and there you are in New Jersey, a long way away. And you're all reading Nim's Island. And that is incredibly special to me because reading is very, very important to me. And it seems to me that when one school, when everybody in one district is all reading the same book, it's like we're all sharing a giant bedtime story on a very giant couch that might be a little bit squishy, even a giant couch. But it's kind of fun to think of this whole district snuggled in together having this story, which I hope you're going to have a lot of fun with over the next few weeks. When I heard that you were doing this, I did what you'll see Alex Rover does, because there's a lot of me in Alex Rover, and there's a bit of me in Nim. But when I write, I'm very much like Alex Rover. And so I Googled Verona, and I thought, well, that's a place maybe not so different to where I live. You've got deer instead of kangaroos, but it's a lot the same maybe. Not a really long drive to a very big city, but still out in the country. And it's just nice to know sort of where you are, but isn't it magical that we can do this? When I wrote Nim's Island, there wasn't Skype. That's how long ago it was when I first wrote it. But I'd started emailing, and I thought that's why it would be fun. As you'll see, emails are very important in the story of Nim's Island. Now I'm going to read you, just to sort of start you off, the first little bit of Nim's Island. In a palm tree, on an island, in the middle of the wide blue sea, was a girl. Nim's hair was wild, her eyes were bright, and around her neck she wore 3 cords. One was for a spyglass, one for a whirly, whistling shell, and the other a fat red pocket knife in a sheath. With the spyglass at her eye, she watched her father's boat. It sailed out through the reef to the deeper dark ocean, and Jack turned to wave, and Nim waved back, though she knew he couldn't see. Then the white sails caught the wind and blew him out of sight, and Nim was alone. For 3 days and 3 nights, whatever happened or needed doing, Nim would do it. Well, Nim does do it. Nim does a lot of things. Nim is brave and she's good at doing things, but she's not perfect. Nim is not perfect at all, which is kind of like most of us. And that story started a long, long time ago when I was a little girl, and we were going on a ferry to visit my grandparents on Vancouver Island. And we went past a little tiny island, and I thought I'd like to run away and live on an island all by myself. And when we got home, I started writing a story about a little girl living on an island. And when I was a grown-up author, I started to write the story that became Nim's Island. And I tried to remember exactly what it felt like to be that 8-year-old girl who wanted to live on an island and who wanted to be brave and good at doing stuff. Because I wasn't particularly brave, I wasn't particularly good at doing things. But in my imagination, I could do whatever I wanted. And every time we do things in our imagination, every time we tell ourselves a good story about how strong we are, how we can be brave, how we can do all sorts of things that we haven't even thought about yet. Every time we do that, we actually become a little bit stronger and braver inside ourselves. And that's why I love stories. That's why I love imagination. And that's why I love that we're all going to be sharing this one story. So even though I'm going to be at home here in Australia, I'm going to be working on a new story with looking more stuff up and making stuff up and having all sorts of imaginary friends running around in my head. But I'll be thinking of you across there in New Jersey. And just like some of the kids who have made some of the things that I showed you, here's another spyglass that some kids sent me. All those things I showed you when I told you about Nim's spyglass and pocket knife and her shell. They're things that kids have made at home and sent me. And there's also this one I thought just for fun, because did you know that Nim is a Girl Scout of Northeast New York? Now, it doesn't say so in the book, but every time you read a book, as well as getting a bit bigger and stronger and smarter, you also get to live another life, and you make some of that story up. We all have a slightly different story when we read the same book. And these kids in Northeast New York decided that Nim should be a Girl Scout. And I thought, what a fantastic idea. Poor Nim didn't get to be a Girl Scout because she didn't have any people friends. She does eventually in Rescue on Nim's Island and Nim at Sea. But she became a Girl Scout, and that's actually the Nim's Island patch that Girl Scouts can earn. And these are the badges that Nim earned through the books, and the girls had to prove how she'd earned them. So they, as well as getting stronger themselves, because they worked out what Nim had to do, and they had to get the badges too. And to me, that just shows how special it is that we can jump into a book and live another life and work some things out ourselves. So I hope that while we're sitting on this big couch sharing this big bedtime story, that maybe, even though I'm sitting here at home and making up my new story, you'll share some of the stories that you make from this experience and some of the ways that Nim's Island leads you into a new adventure. So have fun, enjoy the rest of this very fun morning, and maybe we'll see you again. Bye.